the month of Elul. The month of Elul is very important. In a way, we can say it's the month of love. Ani ladodi, I am to my beloved is to me. And the month of Elul is like the first meeting. First meeting. It's first sight. That's the month of Elul is first sight. Right? We just see love at first sight. I am to my beloved. God is our beloved. We love him. He loves us. That's the essence of every Jew. That's the month of Elul. And that's what we said in the previous. If you remember, we learned yesterday here where we learned this from yesterday that the king, what it means the king is in the field, that means you just have to change a little bit. You have to just sort of reorient yourself a little bit. Change your, what is it called, prerogatives. Base. Ich will sagen a poor Wörter. It says, Rebbe, I want to say a little bit, und bet, and I request, as jeder einer soll das mefarsim sein, that everyone should advertise this. Wie nur can, as much as possible. Very interesting. This Sicha was, that I'm reading to now, this was said by the Rebbe in like 1956, 57. And the Sicha I wanted to learn with you, that was said by the Rebbe in 1991. And the Rebbe also said that he wants to say something to everyone, and they should advertise it. They should advertise it. And I haven't found a way yet to maybe I should take a picture. I keep saying this, but I didn't do it. Maybe we'll learn it next week. We'll see. And he said, namely, that it's this week's Torah portion about prophets. And the Rebbe said that every generation there are prophets. The Rambam indicates that prophecy never really stopped, and there's always prophets. And we see that the Baal Shem Tov and his pupils and others, and the Rebbe said, you should know, I want to announce now, and you should tell everybody that there is a prophet in this generation. And we see that it's the Rebbe. I mean, the Rebbe prophesied, publicly what was going to happen in the Six-Day War. Nobody agreed with him, and that's exactly what the Rebbe said was right. He said what was going to happen in the Gulf War. No one agreed with him. No one in the world agreed with him. And the Rebbe was exactly right. Whatever the Rebbe said, Israel is the safest place in the world. And those were only preparations. The Rebbe said what was going to happen, that the Iron Curtain was going to fall. No one agreed with him in the world. No one dreamed a thing like that would happen. And the Rebbe said it's going to happen. We have to prepare for it. We have to prepare housing for the Russians that are going to come out. And if anyone else would have said it, they would have said the man is crazy. But they knew that Rebbe Lubavitch has this track record of saying things in the future that no one agrees with and that are right. Well, it was the same thing, the fall of the Iron Curtain, right? Exactly what happened. And the Rebbe said, but the main prophecy I'm making is the Mashiach is here. Mashiach is here, and you have to advertise to the whole world. The Mashiach is already here, and now you have to start following orders. The king is here. The king is in the field. That's what we have to. That's what the Rebbe said we have to advertise. Okay, and the Rebbe said it's him. The Rebbe said it's, the previous Rebbe was the Mashiach. It was he said the previous Rebbe is Mashiach also, but he said the previous Rebbe was a prophet, and the one who took his place is a prophet. And about Elul, it says, as is a Roshi Tevis from the words Ina liyada v'samti lach. The month of Elul, it says, is the letters about talking about a city of refuge. It says if a person kills somebody else by accident, is Ina liyada, if it just occurred to you that you killed someone, v'samti lach, I have put for you a place, a sanctuary city, where you can run and be safe. This is talking about the cities of refuge, it's called. Inu liyadu v'samti lach. I have put it into your hand. It happened to you. And these are the first letters of Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. That's the month of Elul, is a city of refuge, sanctuary. This hints at learning Torah, by the way. These four, there are four abbreviations. The Rebbe's put, the Arizal makes a fifth one, of Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. One of them hints at Torah, learning Torah. One of them hints at prayer. One of them hints at giving charity. And one of them hints at doing tshuva. Well, this one hints at learning Torah. In their parsha, in the Torah portion, it says, the Torah says, they're going to mention about a person was hat der harget at zweiter, that he killed someone nit willendiker height, unintentionally. Und the Torah's Chaim sagt, says, as mivet bestimmen a ort, you have to give him a place, Ari Miklat, a city of refuge, Vuhin Erzol Antlofen, where he can run to. When a Zoy, a room, Veter Nit, more heaven. And so therefore he won't be afraid. As the Goel Adam, that the relative of the murdered man, der was vet velen nekama nemen, someone will take revenge for the far, it's hard to read it, so for the fargegissen blood, for the spilled blood. Zol in der hargenen, that the relative of the murdered person, the person that I murdered by accident, will come and murder me. Why? Because I run to the city of refuge, and Vias ver declared, like it says in long length, in also Parshas Masai. As it's mentioned there, but it's also mentioned in this week's Parsha. The Rosh Hashanah is the first letters from this whole idea, nit from the Friedeke Werter und Pasuk, wo redet wegen dem, was is abgetan. These letters about I have put for you a place where you can run is not talking about what the person did. You killed somebody by accident, nor the Rosh Tevas Elul, the first letters of the word Elul, is from the Werter and Pasuk velchavredet wegen zechus. It talks about in aliyado, I've made it available to you. Und sein Tikkun, then Eri Miklat. It talks about that you killed somebody by accident. You didn't mean to do it. Right? It's not talking about if you killed somebody. It doesn't say those words. Before, the sentence before, it says anyone who killed somebody. Here it says, in liyado. You did it by accident. You didn't mean to do it. Therefore, I'm giving you a way to fix yourself up. That's the month of Elul. The month of Elul comes from these letters of Aleph Lamed, Vav Lamed. In this sentence, it means that you accidentally sinned and you can fix it up. Inu layado v'samtilach. Ari Miklat, the cities of refuge, Zainen Gaven Umutum. They were everywhere, Vu as Zainen Gaven Yidden, where there were Jews. If you remember, we learned in the Sicha, in the beginning of the week, that there were cities of refuge were only in Israel, but judges and policemen were even outside of Israel, wherever there was a Jewish city. Do you remember we learned that? Do you remember? Wherever there were Jewish cities, anywhere in the world, there were judges and policemen. And the Rebbe said the reason is because you can't judge a person until you reach his place. But cities of refuge were only in the land of Israel. Because cities of refuge are pure. It's pure. A person has to run to Israel. Israel is the place where Rotzah, a person wants to do God's will. The land of the cities of refuge are for people that they want to become totally different. Not like we said in the Tanya, a Benoni, he never sinned, he never sins, and he never will sin. That's the city of refuge in the land of Israel. Israel is supposed to be a place for people like that, right? That they totally do tshuva, they become different people, a person that never did a sin and never will do a sin. That's the cities of refuge. Cities of refuge were everywhere where there were Jews. Where there were Jews. Whether the Jews, Zion and Given and Midbar, whether the Jews were in the desert, right? The cities of refuge were for all Jews. For all Jews. Whether the Jew was living outside of Israel, you had to run to Israel. See in Eretz Israel. See in Ivra Yarden. It's true there were 3 cities of refuge that were on the other side of the Jordan River. That's going to be Israel in the future. Mashiach will make that. This is sort of like outside of Israel. The 3 cities of refuge, this is sort of like outside of Israel. What does it mean? Das is was der Miklat zu and oif. What did the cities of refuge do? And that's what that month of Elul does. Matzel sein dem Guf from dem Horig Nefesh B'Shigaga. This saves the physical life of an unintentional murderer. Was is aber mit dem Tikkun Nefesh? What about the soul? In the Torah, it says that a person that killed somebody by accident, he runs to a city of refuge, and the avengers of the dead person cannot touch him there. So his body is safe. What about his soul? He killed somebody by accident. He's a murderer. Good, and an unintentional murderer, true, but because of him, somebody got killed. Hadach getan a gewaltige große avera. He did a terrible, terrible sin. Emes tak, it's true. Had es getan b'shogeg. He did it by accident. Aval, but shogegin kum dach oich an an onish. But a person who does a sin by accident also deserves to be punished somehow or other. I mean, why is it that I did it and nobody else did it? Right? It must be that something's wrong. Ze darfen haben kapora. A person has to have a kapora. Was taka kum ta shogeg onish. Why is it? It has to be fixed up, right? For was taka kum. Why is it that the reason? Why is it that a accidental murderer should be punished? Why is it should he be any punishment at all? Why does he have to run to a city of refuge? Why? He did it by accident. It wasn't his fault. Their tam of them. The reason is be'emes vi komta yid. How can it be that a Jew can do a sin even by accident? Nitnor the neshama, not only his soul, even his body from a Jew, darf dach has to be derfan or loifen. He has to run totally in mitzad zayin tvios because of his nature. What's it mean? How did it happen that I killed somebody by accident? How could it have been something like that? No, it was by accident. It wasn't a big deal. But nevertheless, if I wouldn't have been there, right, this person would be alive. Right? It's true. I didn't know that whatever it was, but still, that's what happened. Right? I happened to cut a string. I didn't know the string was attached to a big block up, and then it fell down on somebody's head. It wasn't my fault. I didn't know it. So it's not your fault, but nevertheless, it came because of you. Punkt V is nicht shaykh zu sagen, like it's not possible to say, azer soll beshogeg springen in fire. A person, by accident, I jumped into fire. Und therefore is dach taka lo ya'onu l'tzadek kal avum. A Jew, by his nature, can't do a sin. Can't do a sin, even accidentally. It says a tzaddik can't even do a sin accidentally. Nor was then, but what then? Val der nefesh abami is because a Jew has what's called an animal soul. Sheminoga, which comes from nature. And this an animal soul is bayim bis gabrus. He listens to it a little bit too much. He does all the commandments, never does a sin, but still he's a little bit too quick to listen to his own impulses. His own impulses. The behema was in his gabrus of sein adam. This is the animal which overpowers the person. Fardekt, it conceals the oifen adam of a person and all on his godly soul. And it conceals on a person's der hair and gefühl, on his feeling and on his own, what do you want to call it, his own identity. Und schleppte dem Eden rein zu Tana Zach, was the behema zieht sich dazu. So what's the Rebbe saying? A Jew does a sin by accident. He did a sin by accident. What is he did a sin by accident? He ate kosher food. He ate food. He thought it was kosher. They told him it was kosher, and it ends up it's not kosher. Simple example. Right? He was told that it was kosher. There were these people. Where was it in Monroe, in New York? That there was a butcher there that used to print up his own kosher signs, and he would buy not kosher chickens, which cost like a half the price, right? Half the price, and he would put them. He made his own. He produced his own wrappings and everything like that, and he put the kosher stuff. It looked exactly like a kosher one. He couldn't tell the difference, and he fed it to people over there for years. Years, everyone was eating not kosher food. Man made a lot of money, right? Made a fortune. Ran away. I don't know what happened to him in the end. I just heard the whole story. And all these people did sins. They all ate not kosher food. True, they did it by accident. It was certainly not their fault. Right? Nevertheless, says the Rebbe, but how did it occur that all these people, they did a sin? True, they did it by accident, but still, in the end, they did a sin. Right? They're not punished by the sin. It's not their fault. Says the Rebbe, well, it depends how you define the word fault. Right, a fault, like they have, in what is it, the geology, they have, the fault is like a crack in the ground, a fault. Sometimes a person can have there's in what do you call it, law, a person's fault means that he did it purposely, but it could be, according to Torah, a person can have a fault, means he's got a little crack. What do you mean a little crack? He has his animal soul. Natural animal soul, and his animal soul, natural soul, it it sort of rules over him, and as a result, for somehow or other, it came around to this person that you got to wake up. You're following your animal soul too much. True, you do all the Torah and the commandments, and you keep Shabbos and everything, but still, when you can, you act like an animal. Says this part of the soul, that's the animal soul, this draws to it unintentional sins. Und therefore, was hat zugelost, therefore, that a person allows that his animal soul should overpower him once in a while. Und al pi rov, in generally, noch zu gehelfen, derzu, durch Hanhagas Lotovas, and sometimes he can even help his animal soul go against Hashem. Kumtim an onish, therefore there comes up a punishment for the person, and he has to get forgiven for this. Or in simple language, we can say that because he doesn't really connect to Hashem, so he draws to him things that are also not connected to Hashem. When euch dem seinen metaken, but even this, the cities of refuge fix up. The Indian from Erimikla, this whole thing of the cities of refuge is doch galus, is what we call being in exile. Was galus mechaperes. Says the Rebbe, the cities of refuge, in this case, what he wants to say is the fact that the Jews we are all put into a city of refuge which this is this terrible exile that we're in. What does it mean, exile? That we don't know who we are. We don't know we don't know what our potential is. Nachazak, another thing is, by Ari Miklat, a city of refuge. A city of refuge, it fixes a person up, protects him. As a filo a horeg nefesh bezmezid, even a person that purposely kills someone, he also runs to the city of refuge until his trial. Like the rabbis say, echad shogeg, echad mezid, makdimim lari miklat. Whether a person does a sin on purpose or by accident, he goes to a city of refuge. Dart is air and dervail zicher from their goel adam. Temporarily there he's saved from the avenger. So even Jews that did sins purposely, intentionally, they know what Hashem is, they know what Hashem wants, and they purposely went against it. Nevertheless, they can run to a city of refuge. Dernach, then afterwards, Erst is based in Sholchim or Mevim, then the court sends and brings him from there to the Beis Din. If he steps outside of the city of refuge, then the avengers, the relatives of the dead person, can kill him. But while he's in the city of refuge, he's safe. Unmen mishpatim, until his trial. Then he's brought to trial and they judge him. Un az v'shaftu ha'eda is dach hetzilo ha'eda. Then it could be, it was very, very, very difficult in Judaism to apply death penalty. Very difficult, and Rabbi Akiva said he would never have done it. Impossible to apply the death penalty. Of course, there's a lot of people that, they deserve to be killed, and it's a big danger for them to be out on the streets. But nevertheless, right, those people, the court would figure out another way. But the official death penalty was almost impossible to apply. Almost, there had to be witnesses, they had to be exact witnesses, they had to say exactly the right thing, he had to admit that he did it. That's why the judges, usually they try to save the person, varum, because oib men far mishpat lemisa, because if we kill a person, afilu ein mol, even once in 7 years, ver choin, the Sanhedrin, angerufen choblanit. It says that if the Sanhedrin, it's in the Makot, right? It's a Mishnah in Makot 31. Where is this? Over 13, huh? Sanhedrin. But it's also a Mishnah. Huh? What does it say over here? 33. I can't read it. Okay. Anyway, it's a Mishnah in Makot. Because a judicial court that killed someone once in 7 years was called a hanging court, a destructive court. Biz them until the person would be in a city of refuge, and certainly until then, a person would do tshuva. Okay, what is the message that the Rebbe wants that we should give everyone? That we're going to learn tomorrow.